Take off any glasses. Bring your hands onto your thighs and find your seat with your sitting bones down, your thighs moving down, and then lift upwards from your hips to your shoulders and find some broadness at the top of your chest. Lift up the crown of your head as if there were a string just pulling it up. And then close your eyes and take some deeper breaths in. Have some longer breaths out. Bring yourself here. Open yourself up to your practice this evening. Soften the muscles, the skin that animate your face. You can let go of your social mask and just start to bring your head into your heart center. And then join your hands there in Namaskarasana. And then raise your chest upwards. Bring your outer shoulders back. And see if you can move your shoulder blades forward into your back. As you bring your head into your heart, take a moment to acknowledge the deeper aspect of yourself, the peaceful and light, open and clear aspect of yourself, and receive guidance from this part of yourself. Please join me for 3 ohms. Now lift up your chest and bow your head to your heart. And just intend for this practice to help you this evening in your body, in your mind, in your mood. Bring your hands down to your thighs with your palms upwards. Raise your head and slowly open your eyes. Okay, so unfold your legs. And let's just start a gentle supine pose to recover some energy. So bring a bolster sideways, have a bolster sideways, and have a block behind the bolster, and then a blanket on top of that block, like that. And I always like to make that into a trifold. So I just make an accordion shape, 1, 2, 3. So just a little bit thicker, and I have it there. So basically you want the head support and the chest support to be the same height. And if you have a thick bolster, make sure to have a folded blanket here as well, you know, some kind of extra height so it's not too extreme. And then we're just going to take Supta Svastikasana. So you just sit in front of the bolster, cross your legs, and then come down and just rest your head on that block and blanket. You can bring it really close in so it supports your neck and your head, and then stretch your arms out to the sides. Move any props to the side and just take a few moments here. It's really good to do a restorative pose at the end of your, at the beginning of your practice, at the end of your day, just to help kind of recover some energy that you might have been depleted from your work or from your daily activities. So just check in with your lower back and your neck. Make sure that you're in a good position. Take extra height under your hips if you need to. You can always make the blanket roll in the blanket into a neck roll if you'd like to for your neck. Take off any glasses. And just let your inner thighs release towards the knees, lengthen from the hips all the way up to the underarms. And you can feel the bolster or whatever is under your chest. It's lifting the shoulder blades up into your back. Relax your neck, the top of the shoulders. Relax your face. And just take some deeper breaths in and out. See if you're dealing with any exhaustion or any edginess. You know, sometimes at the end of the day, you feel kind of edgy. So see if either of those are true. And then just gently switch the cross of your legs. And lengthen the inner thighs towards the knees. And the back of the armpit comes upwards, and the top of the chest broadens from the collarbones, from the breastbone all the way out to the outer edges of the collarbones. There's a real broadness there. And see if you can breathe all the way up into your upper chest. To your rib cage. Yoga is all about balance. So just find a more balanced state. And then just stretch out your legs. Make them straight. They can be together or hip distance apart. Just press the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs. Good. And now just bend your knees again and just roll to your side off of your bolster. And then you can move your props to the side and take downward facing dog pose. Take downward dog. Take your feet as wide as the sticky mat. Have your hands turned out about 45 degrees. And take downward facing dog pose. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho is downward, Mukha is face, Svana is dog. And then spread your fingers really well and straighten your arms. And reach from your shoulder blades into your inner hands. Spread your toes, reach your heels back and pull your kneecaps up. Move the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs. Take a deeper inhalation, and as you exhale, pull your hips back away from your hands. Pull your hips back away from your shoulders to get longer on the sides of your trunk. Keep reaching the heels back and down, even if they don't come all the way down. Reach them down. And now come into child's pose, big toes touching, knees apart. Sit down on your feet. Keep your arms extended forwards. Take any props you need to support yourself. Exhale your breath. Press your hands down and move your thighs back. Move your outer hips down. And then reach your shoulders away from your hips. So you're getting that same length on the sides of the trunk, and move your upper back away from the ceiling. Good. And then one more time, downward facing dog pose. This time you can have your feet just as wide as your shoulders, unless you feel like you need extra space, and then go wider again. See if you can make your arms taller and longer. Yes. And then keep the top of the chest, the collarbone region, moving back towards your legs. And like you're in slow motion, raise your heels up. Raise the heels up and draw your legs up into your pelvis. Lift your kneecaps up. And then move your hips up and back as you reach the heels back and down, and keep chasing your lower legs with the top of your chest. That's it. Good. Yes, and NJ, Anya is wearing the shirt tonight. She's here with the shirt. So he was asking, does she ever wear that shirt? I said, yes, she does. And it looks great on her. Okay, it looks good on your skin, that color. So walk your feet forward and be in Uttanasana. So have your feet, let's go mat distance. Go mat distance for the first one. So have the outer edges of your feet parallel with the mat. Take your hands out to the sides. Put blocks under your hands if you need to, so that the feet are as wide as the mat and the hands are a little bit in front of the feet and wider than the feet. Straighten the legs, spread the toes, release the head down. Pull up those kneecaps and bring your hips right over your ankles. Good, and now concave your back, which means to bring your hands under your shoulders. You can bring your blocks in if you need to. So look upwards and move your upper back in. It's not a very comfortable pose, but it's an important pose to get that intelligence to come in the upper back. And then see if it's possible to heel to toe your feet in, just about hip distance apart, but keep the outer edges of your feet parallel. And then once you have that concavity in your back, take your hands wide again and take your head down. Keep your feet wide if you're dealing with any lower back sensitivity or if you have a lot of tightness in the hamstrings. Straighten the legs fully. Keep your hips right over your ankles and flow the sides of the trunk down. Those of you with blocks, maybe you can lower the blocks, or maybe after you've been in the pose for a little bit, you can lose the blocks. You can see if your body adjusts. Great. Now bring your hands onto the hips, reach the chest forwards, and up you come. Great. So bring your legs together. In Tadasana, you need to have them a little bit apart. That's fine. Just have the inner edges of your feet parallel. So move your thighs back until you find your body weight more in your heels, a little bit more. Really, it's right where the heel becomes the arch. That's where you want to feel your body weight located, right where your heel starts to become the arch. And then move your outer hips in and lift upwards through the sides of your trunk. Keep that string pulling your head upwards, and then raise your arms upwards for Urdhva Hastasana. See that your palms are facing each other. Roll your outer armpits forward. No, I won't do that. And then reach up, that's it. Get nice and tall. Keep the thighs back. Roll those outer armpits. So you're pulling the rib cage up, and your back ribs are going towards your thumbs, and your side ribs are going towards your middle fingers, and your armpits are going towards your pinky fingers. So it's kind of like you're a marionette, right? And you've got different strings pulling different parts of the body upwards. Super good. And now bring your arms forwards and down. That's it. Great. Now we're going to balance on one leg. So if you need to have a wall behind you, go to have a wall behind you. You could also have something nearby, like a chair could be on the side. You could have a chair on the side, or you could stand near to something. Okay, so balance on your left foot, turn your right leg out, and bring your right foot up, and bring it all the way up into your inner thigh. And I don't think there's anyone here with knee concerns, but if there is, that I'm not aware of it, you do this one instead. You put your foot up on a chair with a heel to toe alignment. Otherwise, keep that right leg all the way up and the confidence, where does the confidence come in the pose? It comes from this hip drawing in. So bring your left big toe mound down, draw that left hip in, make sure that your hips are even, that you're not turning your pelvis, but you do want to bring the right knee back by lengthening this right inner thigh, and you're kind of scooping that right buttocks under you. If you have your balance, find some place to focus your eyes and bring your hands to Namaskarasana at the center of your chest. And then release your arms and your legs, and we'll do the other side. So bring more weight to that right inner foot, turn the left leg out, raise the leg up, try not to bend down to get your leg. Lift your leg up to your hand, and then place your foot all the way up into the inner thigh. That's it. So press that inner right foot down, draw that right hip in. Again, there's a certain confidence that comes from that. And you're pushing your right leg into your foot. See that your hips are even. Inhale. And then as you lengthen this left inner thigh, move that left knee back. And then lift up through the sides of your trunk and bring your hands to Namaskarasana. Keep lifting the crown of the head upwards with that imaginary string. And then release. Great. Now bring your arms out to the sides, come back to Tadasana, either with your feet together or a little bit apart. Reach your arms outwards to the sides, turn your arms, and raise your arms upwards. That's it. And again, so you're lifting your back ribs to the thumbs, and then lift your side ribs to your middle fingers, and your armpits, the front armpits go up to the pinky fingers, but relax the back upper neck muscles down. And then see if it's possible to move your arms a little bit further back and bring your hands closer and closer together, as long as the arms are straight. If you can bring your hands into prayer pose and lock your thumbs, do that, but not if your arms are bending. If your arms are bending, what you can do is open up your palms forwards, because you want your arms to be straight, but it should literally feel like your waistline is getting taller. So press your heels down, Urdhva Namaskarasana, pull upwards. That's it. Now bring your hands back to your heart center and release. Okay, so let's do that. Now we'll do Vrikshasana with those arms, okay? So balance on your left foot, turn your right leg out and bring your right foot up, all the way up into the inner thigh. So get the confidence by drawing this hip in, see that your hips are even. See if you can move this knee back, but not the pelvis back. Good, and then bring your arms out to the sides. Yeah, try not to look at me because you might fall. Look at something that's not moving. Turn your palms upwards. That's it, raise your arms. And you have to move your arms back a little bit. They have to go back a little bit. And then you bring your arms as close together as you can. And then maybe you can come to Urdhva Namaskarasana. Otherwise, open up your palms and see what you can manage. It's more important that your arms are straight than the particular hand position. Nice, Tamar. Nice, Erica. Become the tallest, most beautiful tree. That's it. Now bring your hands to your heart center and then release. That's the way. Great. Now bring more weight to your right foot. Turn your left leg out. Raise the leg up and place the foot. And make sure that your right hip is absorbed in. Yes. And push the left foot into the right thigh. Keep your hips even, but move this left knee back. And then bring your arms out to the sides. Revolve your arms. And again, don't just lift your arms, but pull the sides of your body higher. That's the trunk of the tree in the analogy of this pose. So go upwards, and then maybe you can bring your arms closer and closer together. Maybe you can come to Urdhva Namaskarasana, upward prayer pose. Keep moving that left knee back. Otherwise, have your palms forwards. Nice, Anya. Straighten those arms and go upwards. Good, I spoke too soon, right? And then bring your hands to the heart and then release. Beautiful. Great. Okay, so come back to Tadasana now. And let me show you how I'd like us to come into the next pose. So you can have some blocks on either side of your mat. And it's going to be on the face side of your mat rather than the heel side of your mat. So the blocks are forward. Sometimes we have them back. So watch what I do. Just this is a demonstration. So we'll come from Prasarita Padottanasana. So I'm coming here from this concave back, and then I'm going to turn my feet in, walk my hands over, and you can have a block here, and we'll do this position here, okay? And then we're going to do that on both sides. And then on the second round, I'm going to ask you to put your hand on your leg and straighten your leg upwards into Trikonasana. So from Parsvakonasana, you'll go to Trikonasana, okay? And then you'll come back down and walk back through the center. Okay, so I'll talk you through it. So stand in Tadasana, bring your hands to the center of your chest, bring your arms out to the sides, shoulder height, and then step your feet all the way out under your hands, under the palms of your hands. Have your toes going forwards, straighten your legs. Now bring your hands to the hips, lift up through the sides of the chest, roll the shoulders back, and then come down and bring your fingertips down to the floor. Now, of course, if you need those blocks, you can have the blocks under your hands and lift your chest upwards. Good. Now turn your left foot in slightly, turn your right leg out, walk your hands to the right, and you can use your block there on the inside of that foot, that right foot, and bring your left hand onto the hip. So you have to bend that right knee, bend your right knee, and bring your right hand on the inside of the foot. There you go. So you can, this leg is kind of like tree pose, isn't it? So lengthen that right inner leg out and move the right knee back as you bring the right buttocks forwards, straighten that left leg, roll that left shoulder back. Good, that's the way. Now just take this top arm up for a moment. Just take it upwards and roll the left ribs back. That's it. Now bring that left hand down, move your block away from your foot, and then walk back to the center. That's it. Concave your back, have your toes forwards, inhale, and then exhale. Turn your right foot in, turn your left leg out, bend your left knee, and walk your hands to the left. And bring your left hand on the floor or the block on the inside of that left foot. And then bring your right hand onto the hip. So it's a different way of coming into the pose. So make sure that you're lengthening that left inner thigh towards the knee. And you can use your left arm to kind of move the knee back and then bring the left buttocks forwards, roll the right shoulder back, head back, and then take this top arm up and reach your arms away from each other as you roll those right ribs back. That's the way. Now bring that right hand down, move the block away from your foot, come back to the center, concave your back, lift your chest, turn your left foot in, turn your right leg out, go back to the first side. That's it, and we'll come back to this same pose. So bring your right hand on the inside of that foot and use that right arm to lengthen that right inner thigh. Bring that right buttocks forwards. Good, left hand is on the hip. Now, move your right hand from your block to your ankle or your shin bone, and then slowly absorb your right leg up into the hip and straighten the right leg for Utthita Trikonasana. Straighten the right leg, but keep absorbing that right buttocks under you. That's it. Yes, roll your left shoulder back, take your top arm up, and reach your arms away from each other and roll those left ribs back. Maybe lift your chin and look upwards. Otherwise, just look straight forwards. Nice, you guys. And now bend that front knee again, the right knee. Bring your left hand down, right hand down, walk back to the center. Great. So lift your chest and then turn your right foot in a little bit, turn your left leg out and walk over to the left. And let's redo that pose, Utthita Parsvakonasana variation. So get your left knee right over that ankle, straighten the back leg, get that left buttocks forwards. Good. Now move your left hand from the block to your ankle and then slowly straighten that left leg and absorb your left leg up into the hip and straighten it fully. Straighten the leg fully. Keep that left buttocks coming forwards. Roll your right shoulder back and then reach your right arm up. And reach your arms away from each other, rolling those right ribs back. Deepening your breath. That's it. Utthita Trikonasana. Super good. Now bend your left knee, bring your right hand down, walk back to the center. Have your toes going forwards with your heels just a little bit wider than your toes, just a little bit. Make sure that your feet are on a straight line, and then walk your hands forward, kind of like downward dog. And of course, if you need blocks under your hands, take blocks. Keep your hips right over your ankles. Yes, that's it. Have the outer edges of your feet parallel. Bring a little bit more weight to the outer edges of your feet. Spread those inner legs out. That's the way. Good. Press your hands down and move your hips back away from your shoulders, just like we do in downward facing dog pose. That's it. Now walk your hands back under the shoulders. Concave your back and then bring your feet closer together. Bring your hands to the hips, reach the chest forwards, and then come on up. Good. So stand in Tadasana. That's it. Good. Bring your feet either together or a little bit apart. Interlace your fingers in front of your chest. Turn your palms forwards and raise your arms up. Keep those thighs moving back, outer hips in. So reach up more through the index and the thumb, side of your palms of your hands, and lift your back ribs towards the little finger side of the hands. Good. Now bring your arms forwards and down. Bring your hands to the chest. Lift each of your fingers, one finger upwards. Turn your palms forwards and raise your arms up. Keeping those thighs back, bring your tailbone in a little bit. Outer hips in, straighten the arms and the legs. That's the way. Now bring your arms forwards and down. And come back to Tadasana. Good. Now move your blocks to the heel side of your mat. Move your blocks to the heel side. Okay, and then watch what I do now. So now we're going to do the classic pose, but we're going to link those poses together. So just watch. So I'm coming into Utthita Trikonasana first. I'm coming to triangle pose and just kind of notice the difference. And then from there, I'm going to bring that hand down to the block and I'm going to come into Parsvakonasana pose. Okay, and then we're going to come up. Okay, so let's try that. So bring your feet together. Stand in Tadasana. Bring your hands to the center of your chest. Bring your arms out to the sides. Now step your left foot out and then step your right leg out. And bring your feet all the way out under your palms. Toes are forwards. Good. Now inhale. As you exhale, turn your left foot slightly in. Turn your right leg out from the top of the thigh. Line up your right heel with your left arch. Good. Now inhale, lift your chest upwards, and as if you're kind of leaning back into a wall, reach your right arm over and down and bring your right hand down to your ankle or your shin. That's it. Keep straightening the legs, absorbing that right buttocks forwards, reaching up through that left arm and rolling those left ribs back. Good. Now inhale, as you exhale, bring your left hand to the hip. Slowly bend your front knee, get your knee right over the ankle, bring your right hand down to the block on the little toe side of your foot. And now you have to move the knee back into the arm and bring the right buttocks way forwards, roll your left shoulder back, and then bring your left arm back behind you with the palm downwards, and then sweep it up, sweep it forwards. Yes, and then reach it all the way up towards the back of your head. And then roll those left ribs back. Keep absorbing that right buttocks forwards. Beautiful. Now lift up your right arm and up you come out of the pose. Well done. Turn your right toes forwards. Bring your hands to the hips and deepen your breath. Flare your nostrils, swallow some saliva if you need to moisten the throat. Good. Good. Now let's do the other side. So raise your arms out to the sides. Turn your right foot in slightly. Turn your left leg all the way out. Line up your left heel with your right arch. Lift your chest upwards and then feel like you're almost leaning back into a wall as you reach over and you bring your left hand down to the leg and your right arm goes up. So straighten the legs, lift your chest, roll the right shoulder back. Just kind of see, does it feel any different coming into it this way? Good. Now bring your right hand onto your hip. Inhale. As you exhale, bend your left knee and bring your left hand down to that block on the little toe side of the foot. See that your left ankle is right over your knee, and then move the ankle is right under the knee. Move that left knee back and absorb that left buttocks forwards. Keep your inner right leg lifting and then reach your right arm back behind you. Inhale, and as you exhale, sweep it up alongside your ear. That's it, and reach from your outer right foot beyond the right fingertips. Roll the right ribs back. You can even look up under that right underarm. Good. Now lift up your right arm and up you come out of the pose. Turn your left toes forwards. Bring your hands to the center of your chest and then step your left leg in and then step your right leg in and come back to Tadasana. Super good. Now take your feet apart, about hip distance apart. Have the outer edges of your feet parallel to each other. Remember, you can always go wider if you need to. Bend forwards and bring your hands out to the sides and release your head down. Only if it feels good to your back, hold your elbows. Baddha Hasta Uttanasana. So you're kind of hanging there. But if you feel better with your hands on the floor, please take care of yourself and have your hands on the floor or blocks. Make sure that your hips are right over the ankles. It should feel like it's resting to some degree. Of course, there's energy, but it's a resting pose. So switch the cross of your arms. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue. It's like cleaning the chalkboard after you've written some lesson on it. That's what this pose does. Good. Now bring your hands to your hips, reach the chest forwards, and up you come. That's the way. Great. Okay, now most of you, at least for the first round, you'll need a wall. You'll need something. I can also show you. So you'll have your right hip near to the wall. Your right foot is forward. You don't really need a whole wall. All you need is something for your right hip to be against, as long as your right hip is supported. And then I bring this hand down to the floor. Now, if the floor feels too low, you can use a block. You can use, if you're at the wall, you can use a tall block. You can even use a tall block. So it should be right under the shoulder. And then this left leg goes back, and eventually we'll take this arm up. Okay, so Ardha Chandrasana. So make sure that your right foot is straight and it's a little bit away from the wall. And your block, if you're using a block, is right against the wall. Otherwise, you can just come down to your fingertips. So bend your right knee and then bring your right hand down to that block and lift your left leg up. Lift your left leg up. So Ardha Chandrasana. That's it. And if you lower your block down a little bit, you're going to be able to get more freedom in that left hip. So make sure that your right foot is straight. Press your left heel back into your wall if you have a wall. If you don't have a wall, just reach that left leg back. Bring your right buttocks forwards and then raise your top arm up and reach your arms away from each other. So Ardha Chandrasana, that's it. Nice, Anya. Roll those left ribs back. Beautiful. Now bend your right knee and come down. That's it. And we'll do the other side. So turn with your left hip near to the wall. Make sure that the left foot is straight. Sometimes the standing leg foot turns inwards. So bend your left knee, bring your left hand down to the floor or a block, and your left hand is close to the wall. Your left foot is a little bit away from the wall. And then lean back and bring your right heel to the wall. Your right heel comes to the wall there. Move your right shoulder back, straighten your left leg and bring that left buttocks forwards. And then raise your top arm upwards and reach your arms away from each other. Keep moving that right thigh up, outer right hip up. Beautiful. Now bend your left knee and come down. That's the way. Great. Okay, now some of you can try that away from the wall. So watch. And again, if you're away from the wall, I really don't recommend a high block because then it just makes balancing more precarious. I recommend a medium or low block or just fingertips. So when you're away from the wall, it's the same thing. You just balance here on the right foot and then you bring the right hand down and you bring the left leg up. Now I'm balancing away from the wall there. Sharpening through that left leg and just lifting up. So it's a nice balancing pose. And the confidence comes from the standing leg buttocks coming under me. This buttocks has to come in. If it starts to fall back, there's no way I'm going to stay in the pose. I'm going to lose the pose. So I have to get that buttocks to come under me. And that's what gives me my confidence. Okay, so let's try that. Otherwise, do it again at the wall. If it's too much for you, do it again at the wall. So remember, your right foot has to be going straight. The right foot is straight, the right toes are straight. And then when you bring your right hand down, it comes a little bit to the right of your foot. Don't have your right hand and your right foot on a straight line, because then it makes the pose even more challenging. And then lift up your left leg, lift up your left arm, straighten your right leg. So lean, move, I think, yeah, that's good. Move the block a little bit further forward, Erica. Move the block a little bit further forward. There you go, that's it, yes. And then lift up that left leg, straighten that right leg. Nice, Tamar. Lift up that left arm, straighten that leg, Erica, straighten it, and absorb the right buttocks in away from your dresser. Lift the outer left thigh. That's the way, good. Okay, and now bend your right knee and come down. Let me show one thing. We'll do it again on the other side. So watch what happens. Besides that left buttocks coming in, another thing that tends to happen is the upper leg, it tends to drag. It's like this. So when you come down, this upper leg, the upper leg, it tends to drop. So I have to lift this inner leg up. Do you remember this pose? The inner leg has to lift. So you have to take that same idea here. So this inner leg has to lift and the outer leg has to lift. So there's not a dropping of the back leg. So try it again on the other side and not only get that left buttocks under you, but see if you can lift the back leg a little bit more. Have a little bit more energy in that back leg. Yes, that's it, Tamar. So bend your left knee, make sure that your left foot is straight, bring your left hand down to the floor or a block, and then straighten your left leg, absorb the left buttocks under you. That's primary, that's where the confidence comes. And then see if you can lift that inner right leg upwards, outer right leg upwards, that's it. So lift your top hip up off of your bottom hip. Lift it higher, Erica, that top leg, lift it up. There you go, that's it. Roll your right shoulder back and then lift up your right arm. Get that left buttocks under you, there you go, nice, good on you. And now bend your left knee and come down out of the pose. Great, put your hips against the wall and have your feet forwards about 1.5 feet. So it should feel like you're sitting, I'm sitting on the wall. Your feet can be hip distance or mat distance, and then bend forwards and hold your elbows. Yeah, so it's the same pose, it's just a little bit different. Turn your feet in less, Anya. Turn your feet in less and bring your feet, yeah, that's it, good. So Baddha Hasta Uttanasana, you could have your feet further from the wall, it looks like Erica. So it really feels like you're sitting back on the wall. Switch the cross of your arms, exhale your breath. Again, it's a resting pose, so make sure that you feel like you're resting. If it's better to have your hands on the floor or blocks, make that choice. That's it. Good. Now bring your hands onto the hips, reach the chest forwards, and up you come. Good. Now get your 2 blocks, and we're going to work on Virabhadrasana 3. Okay, so get your 2 blocks. This way. So I have, and I can show from this side, and I can also show, so your feet are together, and then I just bring my hands down, and we'll use high blocks. We'll use high blocks here for this one. The hands are right under the shoulders, so I'm getting my balance, and then once I'm here, I just balance on one foot, and I take the other leg up back behind me. So Virabhadrasana 3. Now, when I do that, make sure not to let the outer leg go up. So the inner leg has to go up. This buttocks moves this way, this left buttocks as I go up into the pose. And I'm reaching that leg back, lifting my chest forwards. So Virabhadrasana 3. Okay, so let's try that. Tamar, I think this should be fine for you, right? If it isn't, let me know and I can give you something else. I think it should be fine. Okay, good. So stand in Tadasana, stand behind your blocks, bring your hands to the hips and then come down and bring your hands down to those blocks and use high blocks because we have 2 blocks there. And the block should be right under your shoulders. Lift your chest. So get that concave in your back. The feet are together. Now bring more weight to your right inner foot and then lift your left leg up back behind you. Lift that left leg up. Good. Now pause. Make sure that your right foot is straight and then lift your left leg up from the inner thigh. From the inner thigh. That's it. So the outer thigh moves down and pull your breastbone forwards and your left heel backwards. Yes, good. And now bring that left foot down and we'll do the other side. So bring more weight to your left foot and then lift up your right leg back behind you and lift it up from the inner thigh. So the inner thigh goes up, the outer thigh goes down. Pull your outer left hip back. That's it. Good. Reach your breastbone forwards. Nice. Okay, and then come down. Let me show you one more thing that happens in the pose, and I can definitely show you on this side because it's a weaker side for me. So when I lift this leg, what happens is this hip tends to fall forwards and the leg kind of drifts. So I have to lift from this outer knee up here, and this hip has to go back. So that's, again, my confidence is coming from this hip firmly in. And then I can lift this leg back behind me, okay? So let's do it again like that. Okay, so stand with your, and then some of you can lower the blocks down. If it's coming well, you can lower the blocks down. You can even go as low as fingertips. So I'm gonna leave it to you what you're gonna do for the second round, okay? So bring your hands to the hips and then come down. Bring your hands onto the high blocks or go lower if it's coming well. Stand on your right inner foot, lift your left leg up. And from the inner thigh, look forwards, breastbone forwards, left inner heel backwards. Now, can you firm from the outer right knee up into that outer right hip? That's it, Anya. And move that outer right hip back. Get some confidence there. Yes, left leg back, breastbone forwards. Beautiful. Now bring that left leg down. Good, and we'll do that on the other side. So stand on your left inner foot. And then inhale, as you exhale, sweep your right leg back behind you. Lift from the inner thigh, lift from the inner thigh. That's it, breastbone forwards, right heel backwards. Now lift from your outer left knee into that outer left hip and firm that left hip in. That's the way, and then release. Very good. Okay, now some of you will stay with that. We're gonna do it one more time. Some of you can stay with that. Others of you, watch what I do. I start to play with balancing. So in Ardha Chandrasana, we haven't done the classic entry. We're not going to do that tonight from Trikonasana, and we're not going to do the classic entry. This pose is classically entered from Warrior One, but we're leaving that out. So watch what I do. I have my right foot forward, my left leg is back just a little bit, and you have to get kind of playful. I bend this knee, and I just kind of swing my arms out to the sides, and I come up and I balance. Virabhadra, it's like an airplane. I'm straightening that leg. Lifting the back leg up from the inner thigh, reaching the breastbone forwards. It's kind of like, well, depends on how old you are, but I think of the Flying Nun. That really tells you how old I am. Okay, so bring your right foot here, stand and bring your left leg back. That's it. And then you can kind of bend your front knee and then kind of swim out. And otherwise, bring your hands down to the blocks. If that feels too much, you have the blocks. That's it, Erica. Straighten your right leg. And the confidence comes from that outer right knee up into the hip. Make your legs straight. Lift your left heel away from your breastbone. These are gorgeous. Fly. And now bend your right knee and come down. Well done. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. So now you bring your left foot forward. And if you're like me, you'll start to notice how you have one hip that doesn't cooperate quite as much. So that needs a little bit more attention. So bend your left knee and then lean into your left leg, reach your arms out and kind of swim like the breaststroke, and then bring your left leg up. Straighten your left leg and lift from that outer left knee into that outer left hip. Yes, if you need to bring your hands down to the blocks, do that. That's gorgeous, Anya. How does that feel? Outer left hip in, right heel away from the breastbone. Nice, Tamar and Erica, beautiful. And now bend your left knee, and come down. Super good. Okay, now turn again. So have your heels now lined up with the back edge of your mat, the long edge. That's it. So face the long edge of your mat. So go back to that, the first way we were working with the long edge. And then bring your arms out and then step your feet all the way out. So my heels are in line. I think you have to turn either towards the dresser or the other way. That's it, Erica. Good. So have your heels in the back edge of your mat. Take your heels a little bit wider than your toes. Make sure that your feet are all the way out under your hands. Bring your hands to the hips. Lift up through the sides of the chest and then come forwards. Bring your hands down and lift your chest. Good. Now, if it feels better for you, walk your hands forward again like we did before. Otherwise, inhale and then bend your elbows straight backwards. Think of moving your face towards the floor and then move your hands back in between your feet and release your head down to the floor. And if it doesn't come down, first try taking your feet a little bit wider. And then if it still doesn't come down, you can put something under your head. That's it. So come to the crown of the head, straighten the legs, spread those inner legs apart. Blow the sides of the trunk downwards. That's it. See if you can move your hands a little bit further back, Erica, but that's coming nicely. Yes, so the hands also come back in line with the sticky mat. Release the sides of the trunk down, lift the shoulders up. Great, Tamar. Okay, now walk your hands forwards. Lift your chest, bring your feet closer together. And bring your hands to your hips. Reach the chest forwards and up you come. Great. Okay, now I think, Loren's gonna do a headstand at home and with your headstander, or you're gonna do the one where you just stand on your forearms. So if you do headstand, go into headstand. But I think Erica, you remember Supta Baddha Konasana, Erica, that I taught you the other day? So we're gonna do that pose. You can do that as well, Tamar, unless you were doing headstand for a while, but you have not done that. So I'm assuming you're not doing it today. So you have your bolster, and then you have your tri-folded blanket that we had for the head. And then you take another blanket and you just open it this way. So it's a larger rectangle size, and then you make it into a roll. Headstanders, whenever you're ready, you can go up into your headstand. And then you sit a little bit in front of your bolster and you put this blanket roll on top of your feet and under your ankles. So it forms a donut roll. And then you bring your spine onto the bolster. And you bring your blanket under your head and your neck with your arms at your sides. And then of course you can take off glasses. That's it. Great. So headstanders, be up in your position. See if you can lengthen the back of your neck a little bit more, Erica. Lengthen the back of the neck. Yes, like that. And make sure that blanket is all the way up at the top of the shoulders. That looks great on you. So headstanders, seal the forearms down and lift the shoulders up. And extend the sides of your trunk upwards. Roll your thighs inwards. Get that tailbone to come in and reach the legs upwards. Those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana, if it feels good to your body, raise your arms upwards alongside your ears and then hold your elbows around your head, like we did in a couple of the standing forward bends. And if your blanket gets in the way, change the position or remove it. And just pull the elbows back and move the forearms down and lift the shoulder blades up into the back. That's it. Spread those inner thighs outwards. It's super good on you. Those of you in headstand, recharge your pose. And you see if you can lift your right leg a little bit higher up. Lift your right leg higher, a little bit higher up. There you go, that's it. And keep that tailbone in. Those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana, switch the cross of your arms, deepen your breath. Shoulder blades in. Good. Now, those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana, just bring your arms back alongside your body. Have your palms upwards. Keep that broadness at the top of the chest. Relax your jaw, your tongue. And then headstanders, start to come down and rest in child's pose. Okay, and then those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana, just stretch your legs straight. Good. And then everybody start to come up out of whatever pose you're in. And then put a blanket. You can have it opened like this in the center of your mat. Just for some extra padding there. Okay, and then we're going to do Vajrasana, which means the thunderbolt. So watch what I do. So you have to have this blanket in this orientation. So it's a shoulder stand size blanket, but the fringes are to one side. Yeah, the fringes are to one side. That's it. So turn your fringes to either to the left or to the right side, Erica. That's it, like that. Good. And then watch what I do. I'm just showing you from the back. So in this pose, my knees are together and my feet are together, and they're on that blanket. You don't have to have your heels all the way together. They can come a little bit apart. But then watch what I do. I bend forwards and I bring my head down, and then I get this blanket all the way up behind my knees, way behind my knees. So it's nice. And then when I come down, I have to fold this part of the edge, the back of the blanket up, so it's under my sitting bones. So I'm doing Vajrasana in that way. Okay, so let's do that. If it really gets too complicated, you can do it without the blanket, but the blanket is really healthy and it's a good thing for leg circulation after standing poses. So your legs are together, knees together. They don't have to be, all the way together, but as close as you can. The heels can be a little bit apart. And then you come down onto the top of your head and you get this blanket up behind the knees, pull it up, and then you take the back of the blanket and you fold it so it has a lip, and you're in Vajrasana. Okay, so let's try that. Great. Yeah, you can always pull the shin skin forward if you feel like your kneecaps are getting pulled under you and you want to feel like your body weight is kind of pressing your shins down. It's a good stretch for the ankles. Use the heel of your hands to move the thighs down and lift the abdomen up, roll the shoulders back. That's it. Good. Okay, and then interlace your fingers again in front of your chest. Turn your palms forwards and raise your arms upwards. Good. Now, once you've done that, rest the back of your knuckles on your head and move your elbows back without letting your lumbar spine push forwards. So keep your sitting bones moving into your heels. Move your hands back a little bit and then raise your arms upwards. And maybe your arms are going a little bit now more towards the back of your head. There you go, Erica. And then relax the back upper neck muscles down. Nice. And now bring your arms forwards and down. Reverse the interlace of your fingers. Turn your palms forwards and raise your arms up. Keep your waist coming back. That's it. And then bend your arms and rest your knuckles on your head and move your elbows back a little bit, but don't let your lumbar spine push forward. And then when you raise your arms upwards, maybe your arms are a little bit more towards the back of the head. Straighten the arms. Move your sitting bones down. Reach upwards through the index and the thumb knuckle. Relax your eyes, your jaw, and your tongue. Straighten your arms fully. That's it. Now bring your arms forwards and down. Wonderful. Okay, now come on up and take this blanket out. And then some of you, you can just fold the blanket like this, and maybe you can sit on the front edge of the blanket, or you might need a block. You might need a block, and I'll show you what to do with the block. So now you take your feet apart. Make sure to have a belt nearby as well before you get into your pose. So have your feet apart, and then you can just sit on the front edge of the blanket, moving your calf muscles back, and you can sit down if that's going to work for you. If that doesn't work, you can sit on a block. And if you're sitting on a block, have another block behind you, because eventually we're going to twist. Okay, so either sit on a block or sit on the front edge of a blanket. Make sure to move your calf muscles back away from the backs of your knees. And if you're sitting on a block, have a second block somewhere behind you that you can bring one hand onto. Again, adjust your shin skin, kneecap skin. And remember that the thighs don't have to be all the way together. Press the heels of your hands into the thighs. So now the feet are outside the hips, right? And make sure that all of your toes are going straight backwards. Try not to have them sickle inwards. And then if you're using a belt, you can have a belt over that left shoulder. We're going to do Gomukhasana arms. Okay, so bring your right arm out to the side with your palm going backwards, and then bring your right knuckles to your lower back, and then use your left hand to help your right hand up the center of your back as high as you can go without feeling strain. And then keep this right side of your trunk extended. Raise your left arm up, turn that inner upper left arm backwards, and hold on to your fingers or the belt. Yes, keep your neck straight. Keep moving the root of your thighs down, lifting your abdomen upwards. Get longer on that right side. Roll that right shoulder back and roll your outer left armpit forwards. Lift up through the crown of your head. That string is still there. See if you can pull your fingers or the belt apart. That's it. Nice. And now release. Great. Okay, now put your belt on the other side. Bring your left arm out to the side, turn your left palm backwards, and then bring your left knuckles to your lower back. And then use your right hand to get this left hand up the back without feeling strain. If you feel any strain, keep your left hand lower and stay extended as tall as you are on this right side on that left side. And then raise your right arm up, turn that inner upper right arm back, and then hold on to your belt or your fingers. And then make sure that you're evenly balanced on the sitting bones. Have your body weight more towards your outer shins. That's the little toe side of the shin bone. Move the roots of your thighs down. Keep lifting the abdomen up. Pull your fingers apart. Move your head back into your right forearm and lift the crown of the head up towards the ceiling and pull your fingers apart or pull the belt apart. Relax your eyes and your jaw. That's the way. And now release. Very good. Now, raise your arms forwards and up, turn to the right, and bring your right hand down to the floor or the block behind you with your right fingernails going backwards. Make sure that your right shoulder is moving away from your neck. Bring your left hand onto your outer right knee and turn. Turn to the right. Lift your chin up, have a bend of both elbows. Bend both elbows away from each other. Lift the chin up, turn your abdomen, turn your ribs, and then come back to the center. That's it. Now bring your arms out to the sides this way. Turn your arms and raise your arms all the way up. Keep moving your thighs down. Now turn to the left. Bring your left hand behind you, left fingernails backwards. Bring your right hand onto the outer thigh, near to the knee. Bend your elbows away from each other. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn to the left. Turn your abdomen, turn your ribs. Use your back arm to turn yourself around. That back arm turns you. And then release. Very good. Now lift up your hips and then just swing your legs around. And again, you can stay sitting on that blanket. Okay, you can sit on a folded blanket, or you can sit higher, especially if your lower back is falling backwards this way. You have to sit higher up, but just have your sitting bones on the blanket, just the sitting bones on the front edge of that blanket. That's it. And then use your right hand and pull that right buttocks flesh back, and then use your left hand to pull the left buttocks flesh back. And bring your hands behind you on your fingertips. So the fingernails are going forwards and the hands are a little bit back behind you. Yeah, the legs can be either together or they can be a little bit apart. So the thighs go down, the inner legs lengthen, spread your toes, use your hands, lift up through your chest, roll the shoulders back, move your shoulder blades forward. So eventually you, in this pose, you feel like your chest is coming forwards over your thighs because your arms are back and your chest is coming forwards. Shoulders are back, but your chest is forwards. Danda. Danda is the breastbone lifting, the staff bone. Reach up through the crown of the head. Now raise your arms upwards. See that your palms are facing each other. Move your thighs down. Move those thighs downwards, down, down, down. Reach up through the sides of your trunk. That's it. Good. And then bring your arms forwards and down. That's it. Now bring your legs into Baddha Konasana. So the bottoms of your feet come together and the outer edges of your feet, the inner edges of your feet come apart. I have my feet still in the blanket. That's not required. It just feels kind of nice, but it's not required. And then you might have to use more height under your hips. So if your knees are like this, you have to sit higher up. If your knees are a lot higher than the hips. And then bring your hands again behind you. And press the heels into each other. Yes, and move your inner thighs outwards. So it's kind of like a double tree pose, isn't it? And make sure that your sacrum is coming in. Have your hands behind you to lift up through the sides of your trunk. So press the heels into each other and spread the inner groins out to the inner knees. Release the outer thighs down and make sure that your sacrum is coming in. It's lifting and moving forwards. It's not dropping back. Sit higher if that's the case. Lift up through the sides of your trunk. That's the way. Good. Okay, and now spread your legs apart for Upavishta Konasana. And I'm going to move these. I don't need these props anymore, so I'm going to take them. You can use whatever you need. So just take your legs wide apart. As wide as you can go. And if you want to turn to the side so you can have your feet on your mat, you can do that. And again, sit on as much height as you need to that you don't feel like you're falling back. So just bring your fingertips under your knees and get the backs of your knees to release downwards. So erase that space under the knees by pressing the thighs down, lengthening the inner legs outwards, drawing the outer legs back in. Bring your fingertips behind you. Lift up through the sides of your trunk. Keep moving those thighs down, extending those legs outward. So release your legs down. Upavishta Konasana. Roll the shoulders back. Yes, like that. Keep lifting up through the sides of the chest. Yes. Your knees are getting closer, aren't they, Anya? To the floor. They're getting closer, right? Yeah, that's good. Get them all the way down. See if you can erase that negative light under the back of the knees. That looks good, Erica. Nice. Upavishta Konasana. Very good. Now, bring your legs back into Svastikasana. And again, this is where you might have to adjust your height. So if your knees are a lot higher, sit on some props, but sit towards the back. Make sure that your shins are crossed like an X. Shins are crossed, and there's some space between your pelvic floor and your shin bones. So sit towards the back of your props and then come forwards. Come all the way forwards. Adho Mukha. Walk your hands all the way forward. Go as far forward as you can. Yes, if you're on props, sit towards the back of those props. Now, as you go forwards, pull your breastbone forwards, move your shoulder blades into your back, and then walk further forward and let your head come down. If you feel like it's better for you, you can support your head with a block or something if that feels better for your body. That's it. So keep releasing the hips back, releasing the thighs down. You might feel some stretch in the outer hips, some releasing of tension there. Deepen your breath. So Adho Mukha, Svastikasana. That's the way. Keep extending the front of the body forwards. Nice. Okay, and then come on up. Very nice. And now switch the cross of your legs. If you're on height, sit towards the back of the height. Cross your shin bones like an X. And then come forwards. You could have your hands on blocks or on fingertips. And then once you've gone forwards, lift your chest up a little bit, pull your breastbone away from your navel, move your shoulder blades into your back, get that extension to come, and then walk your hands further forward. And remember, you're folding forward from your hips, and your back is getting the benefit. Your back receives the benefit of the bending at your hips. Release your thighs down, breathe into the outer hips. If you need to or would like to, support your head on a block. Exhale your breath. That's the way. Great. And then walk your hands back. And then just stretch out your legs. Good. Okay, and then come onto your back and put your blocks under your pelvis as high as you can go. So most of you know the first position is maybe you can get 2 blocks, going sideways like this, but some of you can get 2 blocks going this way. Okay, so you can do this or this. And if you can't do this, you can try 1 block at the medium level. So just lie down on your back, nothing is under your head, and then get those blocks under the tailbone and the sacrum as high as you can go. And just stay there for a few moments with your knees bent. Make sure the blocks are under the tailbone and the sacrum. They're not anywhere near your lumbar spine, your lower back. If you have really firm blocks and you want to just go to 1 block, I'll leave that to you, but make sure that your blocks are firm. The squishier blocks don't really work for that. Now turn your palms upwards and then just keep your hands where they are with your palms upwards, and then see if it's easy for you just to bring your heels on top of just your fingertips, not the palms of the hands, just the heels on top of the fingertips. If that's not happening, just hold on to the sides of the sticky mat and keep your heels where they are. And then raise your hips up, Chatushpadasana. Press your heels down, press your arms down, and lift your hips up, your middle buttocks and your tailbone up. Lengthen the fronts of the thighs towards the knees and pull the backs of your knees into your buttocks and lift your shoulder blades up into your back and then come down onto those blocks. That's it. Good, and we'll do that again. So fingertips under the heels, otherwise you're holding on to the outer edges of your mat. Have the outer edges of your feet parallel, and now press your heels down, press your arms down, and raise your hips up. Raise those hips. The middle buttocks goes up, the tailbone goes up. Lengthen the fronts of your thighs towards the knees, and then draw the back of your knees back into the buttocks. Lift your shoulder blades up into your back and climb up onto the top of the shoulders. That's the way. Great. And now bring your hips down. Keep your heels on the floor and see if you can stretch out your legs for Setu Bandha. If your blocks feel too high, lower the blocks down to get your legs straight. And if it still feels too high, just keep your knees bent. So straighten the legs. You can also try taking your feet a little bit wider, like as wide as the mat. That sometimes is more forgiving. So roll your outer thighs to the inner thighs. That's it. Let the block help to bring your sacrum and your tailbone into a good position. Turn your palms upwards. Deepen your breath. That's it. Relax your eyes, your jaw, the sides of your neck, across the top of the shoulders. Setu Bandha, Sarvangasana. Good. Now bend your knees again. That's it. And then lift up your hips and take those blocks out from under your pelvis. Bring your hips down. Let your lower back neutralize into the floor. Great. And prepare for Shavasana. So you can have a blanket under your head and your neck. You can put a bolster under the backs of your thighs. Or you can just lie flat. You can see. You can cover your eyes or turn down lights if there's a lot of light. And just take your feet as wide as your mat. Take your arms a little bit wider than your mat. Let your feet fall open and let your palms turn upwards. And then just take some deeper breaths in and out. Have some deeper breaths in, have some longer breaths out. So we focus tonight on standing poses and seated poses. If you do those kinds of poses on a regular basis, your hips and your spine will be very, very healthy. So relax your legs now completely from your hips to your feet. Relax your arms from your shoulder blades to your hands. Soften your belly and across the top of the shoulders. And let loose your face. So it's super soft. The lips are barely together. The eyes draw back. The ears draw in. Settle down, settle inwards. Relax yourself and release yourself from any tension, stress, struggle, burden, heaviness. Let loose yourself. Let go. You bring your hands onto your body and begin to deepen your breath. And relax even more. And then bend your knees and roll to your right side. And take your time to come up to sit, any position that feels good to you. Absorb the benefits of your practice and bring those benefits deeply into your life. And bring your hands to your heart center. Raise your chest upwards and bow your head downwards. May peace come to us all, our loved ones, and this world. Namaste.